How are you doing, Ferrety Purple?
And how are... Sorry, who are you? Where's Hairy Nerps?
It's your favourite entertainment correspondent, Anal Plume. Harry is currently stuck in his cave, so I've literally had to step in this studio to cover for him. Hope that's okay. When I talk, see, in my mean, see, in...
Christ, your AI voice went bonkers there. Has 11 Labs blown a fuse?
It happens with these cloned, unstable ones. I think I'm going a bit crazy because of the excitement of finally meeting the great Ferrety Purple and today's fantastic topic.
Okay, now I know you. You're that awful, unctuous bozo with a Tom Cruise fixation. Fucking hell, we really are scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Looks like the writer is really desperate to get content up so he doesn't disappear into complete YouTube obscurity. Too late, you facile cunt. We're already there.
Well, that's us straight into the demonetised bin.
Good.
To be frank, I'm not used to working with such a strop pants.
Anyway,
Purps, can I call you that?
No.
Okay, today I would love to pick your quick-witted ferrety brain about the uniqueness of the true blue Brit. What makes us so flipping great, Purps?
Well, a lot of the time, I think many unexamined people such as yourself would bang on about the uniqueness of the British humour, but I have serious issues with that.
Exactly, Purps. You've read my mind. Our unique British humour is the best in the entire flipping world. There's no other country in the world who possesses our quick-witted banter and irony. Just watch this person teaching idiots who can't even speak English how amazing we are at humour. She proves it by quite literally breaking down what's so blinking funny about us compared to them.
So first let's talk about irony. Irony. This is when we highlight when something is different from or the opposite of what is expected. This is incredibly important in British humour. An example of irony could be, our local fire station burnt down last night. Obviously you would not expect a fire station to burn down. You would expect that they would take care of their building, just as they take care of other buildings. One step on from irony is sarcasm. This is something that we are famous for. Sarcasm uses irony to mock or ridicule. A great example of British sarcasm in its purest form was actually performed by my father at his father's, my grandfather's, funeral. We like to make light of any situation here in the UK. Before we start, my grandfather had a great sense of humour. He was always laughing and he would have absolutely loved this. So yes, as mentioned before, deadpan or dry humour. This is when you say something amusing or funny with a very straight face and a very serious tone. The best jokes are delivered dryly. This is more of a tactic because you know that your joke is funny. You have the confidence and intelligence to know that what you've said is funny because you've said it with a straight face, but people have still laughed. Next, we have my favourite one, which is wit, making witty comments. This is making quick and intelligent remarks and comments, preferably with a straight face. This is all about being quick thinking and clever. We love feeling in awe of someone when they make a completely unplanned or off-the-cuff joke that fits in perfectly with the conversation. This can be really, really hard for non-native speakers. Next, we have self-deprecation, self-deprecating humour. This is one that you may have seen in a lot of my videos, actually. It's quite an easy... Then we have innuendos, or double entendres. These are... This is when we intentionally say things that could be interpreted as taboo or sexual in meaning. These are a huge part of British culture and British...
Yeah, all I saw there is some incredibly unfunny dullard patronise a bunch of language learners. Wasn't it Norm MacDonald who said that he read a book on how to be funny and it was the unfunniest thing ever? If he was still alive and saw that extract, he may revise his opinion. But he isn't, and that video still exists, which just goes to show how fucking unjust life is.
Yeah, well, whoever Norma Macty was, I bet he never gave the brilliant dissection of what is truly great and unique about the fabulous British sense of humour, like what she did just now in that there video.
I think those that bang on about British humour often are the most unfunniest pricks to ever walk the earth. Take this bloke.
The difference between American comedy and English comedy, there's no real difference in humour, because we're all the same, outside cultural reference. Before I got onto The Office, even just doing stand-up, people think it must be, oh, what do you change to go to America? I don't change anything. And all the adverts on telly are for charity, right? This one runs every Christmas Day. Is there an old lady near you, cold and lonely this Christmas? Yep, I fucking hate her. Nosy bitch winds me up all year round. I can't wait for the cold weather, if I'm being honest. There's no old lady near me. She died last year of hypothermia. So, result. The other big...
How flipping dare you dare to lampoon the holy image of Saint Rick? That man is a comedy god.
I'm not surprised you feel that way, Anal. A lot of self-professed comedy experts think Gervais is the be-all and end-all of what is funny. But I've got news for you. Here's one of his supporters.
A lot to him, the comedy, because I've heard him talk about stand-up.
Oh, he has a style, and he's getting much better now. I mean, if you look at him at the award shows, he's great.
The Golden Globe stuff.
Yeah,
wow.
But as a stand-up comic, he's got much better.
Okay.
You know, and I didn't like that thing he did, The Office.
Okay, but this man has gone through a sort of revisionist renaissance these days. I mean, it turned out he was ahead of his time.
Ahead of his time, eh? Let's see some of that avant-garde comedy in his heyday, shall we?
Shorty was in there one day and said, I bought myself one of them rubber women. I said, any good? No, she left me. I said, how the bleeding hell did a rubber woman leave her? He said, I got carried away, give her a love bite, and she went...
Okay, that was a little, how can we say,
Fucking
all right,
racist.
but we're into the woke land here. You can't judge people out of the context they were in.
Oh, well, let's see what that context he was in, shall we? And let's all cheer for those lazy, so fucking lazy, hazy, racist days of ironic, banter-laden, witty Brit humour.
That's lovely, me old flowers, that's grand. You're all like, hey, hold on. No, it's true, this Blossom, it's true. And they went on this club trip, you know how they do, they have a very good day out, don't they? And then, you know what happens, don't rub your eyes, love, all that mascara, you'll be darker than me.
What about the window cleaner cleaning his windows, and he's cleaning his bathroom window, and he looks through the window and there's this gorgeous blonde in the bath. And he went, oh. She saw him and she went like this. She looked up at him and she said, hello. She said, would you like to rinse your leather in your bathwater? He said, what? She said, would you like to rinse your leather in my bathwater? He said, yeah. She said, well, nip down the ladder and put it in the grid because I'm going to pull the plug out.
Now, you're just cherry-picking your examples. Sure, there was that humour back then, but no one was aware about how racist it was.
Oh no, have a look at this exchange between Esther Ranson and Bernard Manning on Parkinson back in those days.
Do you like the blue gear or what? Do you like the blue gear? Wash me lips. Do you? Are you working there with your foot? I was in Bradford last week, I felt like a spot on a domino. They wait for it to snow in Yorkshire so they can count the population. Down 999 to get the Bengal Lancers in.
Now, you see, would you say that kind of humour is dangerous?
I think racist jokes are dangerous. You know and I know that every anti-Semite begins a sentence, some of my best friends are Jewish. So...
Oh, not all of my friends, just some of them. I like a few Jews, there's some Jews I don't like.
Shut.
Welcome to the Eichmann trial. I'm getting it tonight.
When you make a joke about black or coloured people to a white audience, suddenly the prejudice that they don't dare admit to is respectable. Suddenly they hear each other laughing, and it's comfortable.
No, the joke's...
Oh, you're breaking my heart here. What about the violin playing there? I don't believe in racialism or religion. I believe that all the Catholics and Jews and Protestants and Methodists should all get together and attack the Pakistan.
Charming. Can't beat that sophisticated irony that makes our humour so bloody special, can you?
Oh, go fuck yourself, you hairy tart.
And there you have it. If anyone wants a more thoughtful take on British humour, then listen to Stephen Fry here.
You talk about the sense of humour, the American sense of humour, and we haven't really you haven't mentioned so much the British sense of humour, but do you think they differ hugely? And if so, what accounts for that difference?
It's a really good point. I think, it strikes at the heart of what is American optimism is a really important thing, but not only optimism, but a refusal to see oneself in a bad light, or there's an unbelievable sense that life is improvable, that you can be lectured at, or indeed given a sermon at, it's the Protestant base of America, that things are done by text and by works, as opposed to by submission and by, a doctrine in the way that the higher church, European, rump, we still believe. And there is a sense of original sin in Europe. I mean, this is a bizarre theory that I won't push to its limit, but when it comes to comedy, it's satisfactorily, I think, obvious that the American comic hero is a wisecracker who is above his material and who is above the idiots around him. And the British comic, put it this way, the American comic hero, like John Belushi or someone like that, is that scene in Animal House where there's a fellow playing folk music on a guitar, and John Belushi picks up the guitar and destroys it. And the cinema loved it because he just smashes it and then waggles his eyebrows at the camera. And everyone says, God, he's so great. Well, a British comedian would want to play the folk singer.
In summary, I doubt any of that type of 70s comedian on this side of the Atlantic has ever got to the level of delivery from this Canadian. And before you say it, Dave Allen was Irish.
There was a little boy in school named Dirty Johnny. Now, he's not dirty in this joke. But he'd always be a hellion in class, and the teacher didn't think much of him. So the teacher has a project, or not a project, but an in-class thing. How'd that go again? She says, now, this is what you're going to do here, class. I want you to stand up. I want you to stand up and tell the class what a story from your life. And then afterwards say the moral to that story. So a girl puts up her hand. Yes, Becky, what's your story? So Becky stands up. She goes, my dad works for the hatchery here in town. And what happens was he got about 15 eggs. And he put them all in one basket, all in the same basket. So he put all his eggs in one basket. And he put it on the horse and buggy and drove back home. And by God, Becky says, the bouncing and all the eggs broke. Well, that's a good story, the teacher says, but what would the moral be to that? Becky says, well, the moral is, don't put all your eggs into one basket. But goddamn, says the teacher, that's a good one. Anybody else? Marjorie puts up her hand. Marjorie, what's your story? She says, well, my dad works for the hatchery, as most, all of us. Thank God for the hatchery. She says that we'd all be lost. But anyways, my dad knows that eggs become chickens. And so he was counting his chickens, and he added in the eggs, you see. And then he put them on a horse and buggy to go to town, and they all broke. Well, what's the lesson to that? The teacher says she can't understand. And she says, well, don't count your chickens before they hatch out of an egg. Mm. So the teacher says, that's a great one, too. Anybody else? Well, wouldn't you know, Dirty Johnny has his hand up. So the teacher's like, holy God, I don't want it. But on the other hand, I made an oath to every child, should I suppose I gotta. All right, Dirty Johnny, what do you have to say? Johnny stands up. Stories about my Uncle Terry. He never worked at the hatchery. On account he was in Vietnam. And he got disability. He don't even like people who work at the hatchery. But the story happened far from these shores, in a little town called Da Nang. Terry was not well liked. His whole troop left him, abandoned. And he woke up in the weeds, and all they left him with was 3 bottles of Jack Daniels, some weapons. Terry stood up and downed 1 bottle right away. Said, if I'm going out, I'm going out. He took his Balishnikov and a couple of Glocks and his 2 bottles, and away he went. He found a town. And he didn't know if it was Charlie or if it was one he was sent to protect. But all he knew was he had hate in his gut. So he started firing. And he fired the Kalashnikov with an arcing kind of, like a farmer would with hay, with a scythe. And sure enough, the men fell like hay before him. And then the women, and by God, I'm ashamed to say it, but then the children. And finally, all was left was Uncle Terry standing in the mud and the blood and the glory. And he touched his pants, and it was wet, and he said he was ashamed. He felt shame, Uncle Terry, for he'd pissed himself. Well, he touched it again. It was not urine at all, but ejaculate. And Uncle Terry felt pride where shame once was. And the teacher's like, good Christ, what kind of a story is that? What the hell is the moral to that? Oh, well, he says, when Uncle Terry's been drinking, you don't fuck with him.
Fuck you, ferrety bloody Purps.